Good morning. It's great to see you kids again on this beautiful Easter morning, and it was so wonderful to see so many of you at the Easter scavenger hunt last week. Just to be able to see you in person, socially distanced and masked of course, and to have just a blast with you was just a real blessing for me. So I hope you all had as much fun as I did. So I have with me an Easter egg from that scavenger hunt. And can you tell me what's inside of it? Can you take a guess? Candy? That's a good guess, but no, you all actually ate all of the candy from the Easter scavenger hunt. So let's open this up and find out what's inside of it. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's a beautiful butterfly. Do you see that? Now, do you know how butterflies actually come to be? So, caterpillars actually become butterflies. Isn't that cool? Have you ever seen a caterpillar scooting around on the ground or up in a tree or something like that? Caterpillars will eat, and eventually they'll create for themselves a protective shell that kind of looks like this Easter egg upside down. And they'll put this protective shell up on a tree or in leaves or something like that. And what happens is kind of disgusting, but really amazing. So the caterpillars will get inside this protective shell. And what they'll do is they will actually digest themselves into goop. Goop or like slime or something like that. Have you ever played with slime? It's kind of nasty, but cool at the same time. So from that goop that caterpillars turn into, they will create for themselves new wings, new legs, new head, new body, all of that. And then eventually, when it's ready, a butterfly will fly out, and they'll fly around and brighten all of our days as they, make appearances in our lives. So, how cool is that? That something could die, like the caterpillar's bodies die, and then something even more beautiful and more wonderful emerges from it. And that's a really cool story. That's a really cool thing to happen in the world. And that's kind of what happened with Jesus. Now, let me just say that Jesus did not turn into goop. Well, as far as we know. But Jesus did die, and Jesus was in a tomb for a couple of days. And then on the third day, 3 of his most faithful followers, 3 women, went to his tomb in order to anoint his body. And what they found when they got there was that the tomb was empty. Jesus wasn't there. Jesus had risen. Very cool, right? So let's actually read the story of what happens when the women went to the tomb. All right, this is a story called Easter Morning Good News. Sunday morning. The sun peeked over the trees. The sky was filled with pink and orange light. As soon as Mary Magdalene and her friends woke up, they remembered what had happened 2 days before. Jesus had died on a cross. They wiped tears from their eyes. They missed Jesus very much. But now it was time to anoint Jesus' body. The women walked quietly to the tomb that held Jesus' body. When they arrived, the ground began to shake. An earthquake! Mary and the other women were afraid. They held tightly to each other. Everything became still. The women slowly stepped closer to the tomb. The huge stone was gone. Someone had rolled it away. The women looked into the tomb and gasped. Jesus' body was gone. The women blinked their eyes. Who's that? They wondered. An angel, dressed in dazzling white. Don't be afraid, the angel said. You are looking for Jesus, but he isn't here. Jesus is alive. Go and tell his disciples. Jesus is risen. Could it be true? The women wondered. Mary and her friends rushed to tell the other disciples. Suddenly, Jesus appeared. Greetings, he said. The women reached out to touch him. Jesus, it's you, Mary exclaimed. Her friends jumped and clapped their hands. Jesus smiled at them. Go and tell my disciples, I'm alive. The women raced down the road to share the good news. Jesus is risen. Now, how cool of a story is that? We tell it every year because of how incredible it is. Not even death could keep Jesus down. So we know that Jesus' love is still with us today, and still moving us today because of this story that Jesus rose. So that's our story for today. That's the meaning of Easter that we're getting to today. And now it's time for us to join together in our embodied prayer. So let's reach down to the earth from which so much abundance comes. And we're going to reach up to the cosmos to remember that we are part of a loving universe. We're going to bring our hands down through our brains, because we always bring our brains to church. We're going to bring our hands down through our mouths to remember to speak up for what is just and what is right. We're going to plant these things in our hearts that are so overflowing with love already. And will you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for Jesus and for all that Jesus has done for us and for the world. Amen.